CNN Street News Now.
And we are live. Welcome to the show. I'm Lee Michaels. It is Five Guys and You on a Thursday night, and we are live. Wow, what a week. What a week. A week has gone by, and so much has changed, and so many things, good and bad, have happened. And I got to tell you, I'm exhausted. Emotionally and mentally exhausted with all that's been going on over the last 7 days or so. And the verdict came in on the murder of George Floyd. And I got to tell you, I was sitting on the edge. I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out. I was kind of 50-50. I said, well, he's probably going to get convicted on the lesser charge out of the three. And I was wrong. The people saw it the way we did, the way the world saw it. We saw a man murdered live right in front of us. It was not a movie. It was not a prank. A human being was murdered. And there's still clowns out there trying to discredit George Floyd, saying that he was a druggie and he was a misfit and a bust out and all of that. Folks, none of us are pure. None of us are perfect. We all have flaws. He may not have been a perfect human, but neither are you. Neither am I. We've all have done things in our life that we may not be proud of, but we're all human beings. And I think that's what most people were kind of gravitating towards, that we saw a human murdered by 4 cops. And it's a shame that in America, anywhere in the world really, in this day and time, that the level of disregard for human life is so low. That man, George Floyd, did not have to die over an alleged $20 bill that was counterfeit. Have we heard yet that it was confirmed that it was a counterfeit bill? I've heard reports that it's allegedly a counterfeit bill. But maybe I missed it. There's been so much reported about this particular situation or case that I may have missed that. But the reality is, he did not deserve to die over a counterfeit $20 bill. There were many options that those officers had. They didn't have to even arrest him. But as many officers have done and may continue to do, they will push you and stick the knife in, not literally, but, poke you and make you do other things so they can have the ability to arrest, beat, shoot, choke, tase, whatever. And that's what we've got to get away from. And the young lady in Ohio that was shot 4 times by the cops, by a cop. I have mixed emotions about that. I understand that he reacted quickly, and I don't think he had enough time to assess the situation properly. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear him say, put the knife down, put the knife down. I didn't hear that. I've had a conversation with other people and saying that was given, that command was given, but I didn't hear it. I saw him run up, thank you, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 was what we heard and saw. And a 16-year-old girl is now dead. We don't know if she was defending herself or was she the perpetrator of a crime against other people. We don't know. At least I have not heard the reports in terms of what was really going on. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more tonight. And I want to welcome in our other four hosts to the Five Guys and You show. Reggie, Dr. Reggie,
Good evening.
Miles, welcome to the show. How you doing, my brother?
Man, I am wonderful, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
I've been messing around with my new toy. I done caught up with you guys, so now I can get into the real funk and telekey.
What new toy do you have, my man?
I got the Rhodes.
Oh, you got a Rode too? Oh shit! Okay,
Rode.
We got the maybe we'll change the name to the Road Brothers
and the Podcaster Pro.
Go ahead now.
So we own it now. I'm on Aphex and the Big Bottom, so there should be some funk in telekey.
Oh yeah,
nice.
It's deep.
Yeah, it is.
I'm feeling the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, good. Congratulations on your two new pieces of equipment. The Rodecaster Pro.
Yep.
Oh, Lord, I got competition now. And a pod mic. All right. Dr. Ron in the house.
Yes.
Welcome, my brother.
Well, hey, man, glad to be here. I can't wait to chop it up tonight. We got a lot to chop up about.
No doubt. No doubt. And I understand you've got a new toy over there, too.
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I'm trying to hang with the professionals, man. I heard, I heard in order to hang out with professionals, you got to have professional equipment.
That's right. No doubt about it. We're up in the game.
Yeah.
We're not just faking the funk. We are doing it for real.
Don't tell me about wearing black again. I got to go change that.
Well, before you do that, let's bring Chris Bass.
There you go.
Bass is going to always be a little off base, unorthodox, but that's okay. We love him anyway. Welcome to the show, my brother Bass.
Happy BoomShockalaka to all of you out there, to my brothers and everybody being part of the program. Yeah, it's a lot to uncover, and like you said before, it's been emotionally draining what we saw unfold. So. We're going to chop it up and make it do what it do and serve it up into some bite-sized morsels.
Now, I understand you have another topic that you want to include tonight as well. So go ahead and set that up and let the public know what we're going to deal with.
Thank you. The topic coming up later on will be Disney Plus has a program out called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For those of you who follow superhero movies, it deals with Captain America and post his death. But also what's interesting is that it had parallels in the storyline to real life, how we're bridging the fiction and nonfiction together. So we'll talk about that later on.
That sounds interesting. Let's bring in the Yoddah. What's up, Yo?
Yes, as Monty Python used to say, and now for something completely different. The guy that doesn't have any professional equipment, and I'm wearing a white shirt. Look at that. And before I forget, please allow me to be the first person to voice an objection to the name the Rhodes Brothers. That's absolutely awful. I cannot abide it.
Okay. Heard and noted.
Oh, looks like I better get on and get me. I got a pop filter over here. Let me go ahead on and put my.
Yeah. See, now I put my mic out of view today. I want to be like Dr. Ron.
All right,
and I see Chris is the only one with the full mic in view, and but that's fine. There you go. See, Ron's got. Dr. Reggie has got his mic in view, and that's cool. I like to show off my mic too sometimes. Yeah, that's better than showing my ass, but that's a whole other thing.
You got that gold thing, man.
I'm not using the gold mic tonight, but
yes,
yeah. Okay, well, let me welcome Anthony Hamilton and red beans and rice. Is there any gravy on that, or is it just dry red beans and rice? I'm just curious. And
how's your funk in telekey?
Hello. All right.
Look, let me jump out there right quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Do you?
A couple of weeks back, you endorsed the Rode mic so much that I think it impressed everybody on the crew that they had to go out and investigate this, and that's why we have rose to the occasion to be able to, applaud your recommendation, to what's the best way to go with equipment. So I got to salute you on that. When you made the recommendation and you see how much we value, your word.
That is so nice. I mean,
well, you might have a customer out there listening, so I had to plug.
Right.
Ron, do you owe Lee money or something? What's going on?
No. I'm trying to get him to do something for me, so I got to pump him up every now and then.
Oh, it's a con job.
Oh, damn! Did I say that out loud?
Y'all better be lucky I didn't make it to the green room in time, because I ain't playing with this thing. Because I had some choice words, some choice verbiage. So I'll save it till the end.
Professor, why would you want to have choice words for us, man?
Because I was going to come in where we picked up off last week, right? When I came in last week, oh, you got that dinosaur mic. And so I was going to come in.
So we poked him in the eye, and he said, okay, I got to do something. And I think that's the same thing happened with Dr. Ron.
Oh, man, yes, you did.
But see, Chris started the snowball rolling down the snow-covered hill. Like going out and buying that Rode Pod mic.
So is this just proof that you're never too old for peer pressure?
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, because, I was like, I ain't doing it. And then 1 week, Chris didn't even say he was going to do it. He just showed up with a Rode.
Boom.
I'm like, damn, what the hell? and look, Lee wasn't even there that week. I hurry up and told him, I said, man, do you know this brother that went and got a Rode, man? He out here jamming on a Rode
so maybe we
now.
have a new show idea called Keeping Up with the Michaels.
Hey.
Don't do that. Don't do that, brother, because you'll end up broke.
Yeah, for real.
I am Boo Boo the fool for the electronic toys.
Yeah,
I'm that guy.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't even want to tell you guys, everything I buy, because it's just, I got a sickness. It's I'm sick.
Yeah.
But I'm impressed with the box. I want to, and I'm impressed with the box. So
it is nice packaging.
And then the box along. I mean, it's like, what is it? What is in continuity? But these two products, they fit and they talk to each other.
Yes.
So the circuitry, when I really looked at it and I saw the circuitry from the company that's doing the signal processing, when I saw Aphex, I said, oh no, that's it. That's a done deal. That was a done deal. Because Aphex is really great with processing on broadcasting equipment, that oral exciter and that big bottom. The only thing that I'm probably still need to investigate on is the stereo functionality in it. Is it giving me true stereo in the input? Because I really wanted this thing to have a line in input. And I know I'm talking technical, but I had to do some makeshift work. But it works, man. The just having the Bluetooth phone, I could take phone calls now.
Yep.
Run it mix minus. I mean, I could do. You can do some incredible radio things. And the thing.
Oh, no question.
The thing that was really, really impressive is now, man, I don't have to be in the radio station now to work with faders. I got vertical faders now. I'm like,
Yeah, it really has a lot of flexibility, and the module that shows a telephone, you can bring up another cell phone just using a little miniature cord, so you could actually have two people coming in, and they're both mixed minus.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Now, and when you really get into this mixer, the little colorful buttons over here on the right-hand side, you can record or upload files into those buttons. And actually you have, when you page over, you have another 8 buttons that you can program stuff into as well.
So now, when I do my talk shows now, I'm going to record them. And then I'm going to edit them down all in this thing. So I'm like, whoa, I said, shit.
Right.
I can go right back into some deep podcasting with this thing. So I'm really cool. I'm cool with that. I'm really happy with it. So I'm gonna see. I don't know if maybe later on I'll get a chance to when I revamp the studio, get a chance to do something with the extra mics and bring in other people in. But for right now, this digital thing and the compactness of it and the flexibility that I have and the way it makes me feel like being back in radio, I'm cool with that because I got tired of turning knobs, man. I want to I want to do some vertical.
Do a little slide action. Yeah. No, I feel you.
By the way, Big Bottom and Oral Exciter are two strippers I used to know. Hi.
Look at I mean, and you starting early.
I was waiting for Ron to pick up on that.
Yeah.
That's more of a Ron.
I done kind of rubbed off on him. You know, we do a show on Friday nights now, you know, and it has something to do with male and female. So he's catching on, you know. Yeah.
Was it sex talk with two old sex talk with two old guys, huh?
Yeah.
So in other words, y'all done went deep. Chris, knee deep.
Knee deep. Right. That's right.
Ooh, man.
All right. Well, let's move on here with the boys. Let's do this because Chris, your topic is on the light side versus the heavy stuff. So why don't we go ahead and do your topic and we'll dig in deep from there.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Thank you. So as I said before in the setup, there's a program on Disney Plus called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And for those you follow, comic book stories and things of that nature, it deals with the aftermath of the Avengers Endgame. And it deals with two characters in particular in the series. An episode dealing with Sam Wilson, he plays the Falcon. And then we find out that there's a character named Isaiah Bradley. As we know, for those of you who follow the storyline, Steve Rogers, Captain America, was a part of a government program when it gave him the super soldier serum. And it was experimentation, and that's how he became Captain America. But come to find out, there was one before him named Isaiah Bradley, who was African American, who was experimented on. So this whole new backstory that we're learning about, it paves the way for teachers and instructors, anybody just want to learn about that, of how these stories are parallel to real life. Case in point, we find out again, there's a first Captain America that was Black, but the experiment part parallels to this Tuskegee syphilis experiment program that happened back in 1932. The experimentation, unfortunately, on Black men. And I noticed a pattern in the past couple of years where sci-fi and horror and supernatural meet Black origin stories. There's another one that came out back in 2019 on HBO called The Watchmen. That show was starring Regina King. The opening scene deals with Tulsa, Oklahoma, the racist destruction by white racists on Tulsa, Oklahoma's Black Wall Street. That's the opening scene, and then it goes from there. Also deals with the fact of a character in the storyline, also from real life, a man named Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was the first Black U.S. Deputy Marshal to serve in the U.S. government. There have been tales that not only the fact that he was the first, but he also had over 3,000 arrests, was known to work with a Native American companion. He also used disguises from time to time. Now, for those of you who may be familiar with that story, he was also called being an alone ranger. Why? Because he was Black and nobody wanted to work with him. You take the A off, and you got the Lone Ranger. We've seen it, on TV, prior to that on radio back in the day, even a movie that fast forward years later starring Johnny Depp. When you take a storyline like that, it always has some real meaning behind it, or it's quote unquote whitewash because you never have a Black star of that type of magnitude. But it came from a serious origin story from someone who was actually real. Another example I have that came out in 2020 on HBO called Lovecraft Country. It deals with supernatural and horror. And this stars Journey Smollett and Jonathan Majors. This storyline, the characters take place on the south side of Chicago in the 1950s. And it deals with, once again, supernatural and horror, but the backstory is people of color trying to deal with working and finding their way through a racist situation. It also deals with the fact of Black families moving from the South Side to the North Side. Also has a comment and a commentary piece about there's a character in there who's African American who takes a certain potion and turns white because she believes becoming a white woman will better her life. If we're able to parallel these things in real life to where we are now, it's a great learning instruction. It's a great learning tool for if you're a teacher or an instructor and you have classes, because a lot of these children, a lot of these kids and teenagers are into these current things when it comes to these comic book movies. But if you can connect it to history, you come to find out that you not only have a platform to learn, but you're bridging fiction and nonfiction. I think it's a great thing.
Wow. Thank you for that Black History moment.
That's right.
I mean, that's really what you just did.
Yes.
Because I knew none of that. Especially the Lone Ranger. I went, damn.
Yeah.
Nothing was original.
He was a badass. Bass Reeves was quite amazing. His exploits are legendary and all chronicled and true. And it's not unusual, as we know, in entertainment for white entertainment companies to steal stories from minorities. As a matter of fact, Batman is based on the Mark of Zorro. The Mark of Zorro started out as the The Curse of Capistrano, a 1919 novel. Zorro is Spanish for fox. And if you look at Batman, caped crusader, all that stuff. Zorro was in a cape. He was in a lair also. And Bob Kane in 1939, when he started Batman, paid homage to Zorro because when Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered outside of the movie theater, the film that they had just seen was Zorro.
Another moment in brown Black history.
You some intelligent brothers, boy, I tell you. Man.
Digging deep tonight.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna throw the curve in there. When I saw the movie that they put together on Bass, they did not give him the production dollars that he deserved to tell that story. That movie was horrible. They did not give that brother budget enough to do that story. Not good at all.
Who did the film? Who was going to do it?
It was so bad I couldn't even tell you, bro. But they had a cable movie on it, and they emphasized some of his how he got started, and how he became the Black Ranger that nobody wanted to be with, just like Chris said. So, it was definitely poor production quality. It was worse than a Black exploitation film. I'm just gonna say that.
Wow.
Not good at all. The
I haven't seen it.
The story was excellent. What they were talking about, I enjoyed the story about the brother, but it was just like, man, it was hard to watch. Yeah.
That's a shame.
Not all Black exploitation films are bad, though. I mean,
no, I love Pam
handle
Grier.
this like gentlemen, or we can get into some
gangsters.
Hey, look, man, I enjoy Pam Grier movies, man. I ain't got no problem with that, but some, because they said some.
No, Dr. Ron, not now. We're on the air. We're on the air. Not now.
Okay. Some movies from that era had very poor production quality.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you gotta understand that the budget was low and the technology was not affordable.
And at that time, they was just giving us something. And then people were just using. I mean, there were other Black films before the Black exploitation time that came out, but they would, our people are creative and they work with what they had. They worked with what they had, but they couldn't produce anything that was deep. So it had to be some garbage. in order for Hollywood to be around it. But you wasn't gonna, see the story of Malcolm X. You wasn't gonna see anything that was uplifting, but they were gonna throw us the Mac, Superfly. They was gonna throw us that, and those weren't funny, but those flicks got out first, and they didn't have to have the big budgets. They probably the most expensive thing in there was the grill on Superfly's car that they
So wait a minute. You say they came out first, so you mean to tell me that Sweetback wasn't before them?
Sweetback came out before them, but I'm saying there were other films with that. But they took that was Van Peebles, right? So they
Mario, wasn't it?
Yeah, they took Van Peebles stuff.
Melvin, yeah.
They took Melvin's stuff. The dad, they took his stuff, and they gave that glory. But
he self-distributed, didn't he?
Yeah, but what that proves to be how he got moved is, and Lee can attest to this, is that it was radio that moved that flick. That's when we had more ownership. And we
all of the black movies during the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm. And so that's how that go. But Melvin will say that right off the bat. As a matter of fact, this is a documentary that was probably a low budget, that when he spoke about that, and it was called Disappearing Voices. It was done about 10 to 12 years ago, a documentary on black radio. And he just came out and said that the success of Sweetback was due to black radio, because he wasn't going to get any help with promotion and distribution through the mainstream.
Right.
So it was black media that helped him out, But
very targeted.
And know who took advantage of that that ideology when Tony Brown made his one movie, White Girl. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that one.
He self-distributed, and he used the black media to pack out movie theaters all across the country. Now, the movie wasn't worth 2 cents, but people came out and supported him anyway, because, Tony Brown was a beast, man. Tony Brown's Journal.
Yeah, he was one of the, as a matter of fact, I think he was on the bottom floor of the Howard School of Communications, I believe.
Well, you're going to work in your school no matter.
There's so many opportunities because of the footprint that's come out of that university.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Nice stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's go deep.
Okay.
Wait, before we go, I do gotta tell you, I do love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then on the last episode, right, Winter Soldier, and this was like blew my mind. Winter Soldier went back to Wakanda because Falcon's wings got ripped up, and then they could. I knew they was gonna do that, but now we gotta wait till next week to find out these super wings that the people in the black country from Wakanda, what they done made for him. Cause so Falcon gonna be a really bad dude, cause they put that Wakandan technology on the stuff, and they didn't let us see it. So then you know how they give you that nail biter thing. Tune in next week to see
the tease.
And I was mad, but I'm really into that, and I like those storyline. I like that storyline as well, and to help Wilson or the Falcon reconcile with himself, whether or not he wanted to continue to do this, be a superhero for America. So I thought that was really deep, and that was cool. I like that.
And it's very touching to what's going on now, and then we'll get to the old deep stuff. But here's the thing: I thought it was a very interesting dynamic between the character of Sam Wilson and Isaiah Bradley, and they're going back and forth. And Isaiah Bradley's having a conversation about what happened to him. He was experimenting on. And Sam Wilson was like, times has changed. And then he said to him, you really think times has changed?
Yep.
And he gave him that long pause look. But when you think about parallel to what's going on right now, very strong words to what's going on right now, here and right now.
That's right. By the way, Chris, I had not considered watching the show until your commentary. Now I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, how many shows is it? How many episodes is it?
6 right now.
6?
I think it's 5 up. I think one more next week will be one more because I got to see these wings that they come out with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Winter Soldier, the killer, brought him the wings because he told the Wakandans he needed one more favor.
Right.
You know, and so that's that dumbass. That oh man, that's cold. I got to see this suit that they bringing.
Well, I appreciate everybody getting on board. Let me know, watch it, check it out, and just let me know what you think because again, it is so poignant to what's going on right now. Currently, it is a learning tool not only for your instructor or teacher, but for everybody involved.
That's right. The intrigue with all the characters. The character from Hitler's regime. The young girl that's fighting for the oppression, who took the serum and became a super soldier herself. This is, man, this is some good stuff. It's some good stuff.
Absolutely.
Cool in the gang. Well, that's good, man. That's kind of give me something to check out too, because I've been looking for something different away from what's going on in the news, because the news has just been so dark and blue and mean and crazy and out of control. Last night I had to turn it off, and I started watching old episodes of Shark Tank, and that's how bad it was for me.
Yeah, you was really depressed.
I was, man. I was relieved on from the outcome of the trial, but at the same time that was being announced, another 16-year-old young girl was being shot to death.
Man,
almost exactly the same time.
Yeah. I mean, like within minutes of the announcement.
Man.
So it was just overwhelming for me. And let me just say this, America, I'm proud of you because you have shown the world that we can be fair and balanced and deal with the truth when the truth is presented in the right way. And let me commend the prosecuting team. Ellison put together a great team of prosecutors, and they made it happen. They brought out the facts. They brought out credible, experts, and the defense came out with some real, bovine, and it didn't stick because what we saw, you can't change. You can't put enough spin on that to convince anybody with an IQ 2 points above plant life. What we saw was real. And there's no spin you can put on that. 9 minutes and 29 seconds on somebody's neck with two or three other people putting their knees in your back and your legs and what have you. You ain't going to make it. And I would say, let's do a demonstration here in the court, ladies and gentlemen. And Mr. Police Officer, would you come over here and lay on the floor, please? And let me handcuff you and let me put my knee in your neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Let's see if you're going to make it back to your cell tonight. I mean, that's real, man. That's some real stuff that happened. And people are trying to say, well, I don't think he meant to do it. I'll be damned.
Oh, yeah.
My opinion is you had enough time and that man was under control. When you put him on the ground handcuffed, he was basically under control. What is he going to do? Kick the air out of the tires of the car at that point? Let him clown and call a paddy wagon in to throw him in. But see, this is where I think the police officers blew it. Common sense didn't kick in and say, hey, wait a minute. What did this guy do? Did he kill anybody? Does he have a weapon? Is he really a threat to us? And if you thought that man, after you handcuffed him, had him on the ground, was a threat to you, then you don't need to be a police officer. You need to turn in your gun and badge and go to hell home because you don't have the right makeup. It's not in your DNA. It's not in your heart and soul to be a police officer, a peace officer. You are not qualified. This job is not cut out for you. Maybe you need to drive a yellow cab or go work at McDonald's, but that job you are not qualified for. If you're that timid and scared, then resign. Leave that profession. It's not for you. I couldn't do it. Okay. And I commend anybody that is a police officer anywhere in the world. It's a tough job. You've got to make some real tough split-second decisions. And they don't always turn out real well. And I have my opinion about the 16-year-old girl in Ohio. I think that a couple more seconds, even if you tased her, pushed her out of the way, yell at her, put the damn gun down, or the knife, I'm sorry, put the knife down, a bullet in the ground. Make some noise to distract that human being, that child. We don't know if she was the bad guy or was she defending herself. At least I've not heard one way or the other. What have you guys heard? Was she the bad guy in this situation? I mean, based on what the way that's being reported, she was the bad guy because she had a knife in her hand. But why did she have that knife in her hand?
Yeah, I haven't heard that part yet.
Yeah, not sure either.
Yeah.
But we talked about this on last week. The system of policing, they immediately think that every scenario needs to be dealt with deadly force or met with deadly force, no matter what the scenario is. And their mentality is not the right mentality. People all over the mainstream media, every former chief that they interviewed came forward and said it is time now to get a uniform policing code in place to be able to address the issues that policing has right now. And I think if they keep hounding that drum, then maybe there will be a new way of approach policing. I heard somebody make a suggestion today that police officers with guns don't need to handle traffic violations or stops. They need to be dealing with other type of scenarios and situations. They shouldn't be going into a traffic stop with a gun that can escalate to a point where somebody could get shot and killed. Now, that was someone's opinion, but they're talking about it. They're having the dialogue, just like we are. We're talking about it, and that's what needs to happen. We need to have more and more conversations to address, some of the mistakes that people are making that carry weapons every day for a living. They need to reevaluate the entire policing system, and maybe pulling back on the use of deadly force should not even be an option. Not their first option, especially when they run into people of color, people that are minorities of any kind. They don't need to be the only way out of this situation is death. You have no option other than to die. That's crazy, So the conversation is going on, and I hope it continues because it shouldn't be over so soon. We need to continue the conversation.
Was anybody on the panel here surprised to see that the verdict came back guilty on all 3 counts?
Yes,
I was.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: based on my surly mood last week regarding this, I am happy that I was wrong. I'm thrilled that I was absolutely wrong about my assumptions on the outcome of the case. I didn't see this happening. I'm not 100% celebrating yet because I haven't seen what the sentencing is.
Yeah.
But it's phenomenal. This is, if you look at the context of American history, and then even narrow it down to the context of Minnesota history, this is the first time in Minnesota history that a white police officer has been convicted of killing a black person. It's major league. It's major league. And, I echo Ron's sentiments. It's what I've been talking about for a long, long time now. I make a distinction between police and the system of policing. I believe that police should be paid more money for what they do. They have a difficult job. Even if you eliminate all the stuff that they're not equipped for, the EMT calls, the deranged person calls, the traffic stops like you're referring to, Ron, if you eliminate that, their job is still hard and stressful. Mm-hmm. And I commend anyone who wants to do that, and I certainly celebrate anyone that does that job well. But the institution of policing is completely broken and needs to be revamped from the ground up. And we have models for how policing can work from other countries that are developed countries with large populations. And I think America now has to exhibit some humility and say, okay, we can improve on this thing. America, unfortunately, is not number one in a lot of different categories. And this is one of those categories where they are falling behind. We're still one of only, I think, 11 or 13 countries that have the death penalty. So just from a systemic point of view, there's a lot that has to change. And I hope that this is an indication that America is ready to address the failings of the justice system and the policing system.
The real next step is, yes, the sentencing, which is 8 weeks away. I don't know why it takes so damn long for that, but I guess that's part of the justice system. But there's a bill that just passed the House today, the George Floyd, I can't remember the official name, but it's supposed to kind of reform the whole process of policing. Now, it's got to go before the Senate. It's going to take at least 10 more 10 Republicans to pass that in the Senate, pass the House today. And I'm sure it was along party lines. But see, when it comes down to stuff like this is why I say the Republicans have it wrong. When there's an opportunity for you to drop your political party bullshit and do the right thing for the people, for all the people, do you realize that if they would go ahead and vote this bill into fruition, it would help this country in so many ways. It'll help clean up the police department because we know there's some bad apples in there. There's no question about that. It'll force some of them to quit. It'll give the police chiefs, the real committed chiefs, to do their jobs and clean out the bad apples, and hire new people that are committed to being good cops. That's step number one. We got to clean it up. And I think if we can get this bill passed, that'll be very helpful. And that's a thing that will help every citizen in this country, no matter what your ethnic background is. It'll help all of us. Because if people of color stop having to worry, we don't have to worry about teaching our children the best way to deal with when we're confronted with a police officer, to keep your cool, put your hands on the wheel and your hands in the air, be, more than respectful, kiss their butt. I saw a video on YouTube yesterday, and I'll stop. There was a guy, I think it was in Texas. May have been Michigan or Texas, one or the other. But he had a concealed permit. He was stopped for a traffic stop. But the cops walked up to the car. One of them, two cops in the same car. One of them had his gun out, walking up to. Why? That in itself puts a bad light on that person sitting in the car. It instills fear that, I'm Now my life is threatened because this guy's walking up to my car on the right-hand side. I see him in the side mirror, and he's got his gun drawn.
Because
other guy's coming up on the other side.
Includes fear.
Yeah.
The way police officers are trained is filled with fear-based concepts.
And that's wrong.
It's all about us versus them. It's all about, making it home, and they are essentially taught to be afraid all the time.
And I understand
that's
that.
why they go into those situations that way with their hand on their gun when it's not necessary.
And I know they run into some bad guys, from time to time, and maybe more than 50% of the time. But you've got to be smart and on your game and on your toes and know when to accelerate that. But in this particular video that I saw on YouTube, the guy was compliant. He says, "Hey man, what's wrong? What are you stopping me for?" They didn't go there. Within 30 seconds, they were calling this guy all kind of names, MFs, and get out of the car, put your hands up, put them on the. They went to 100, from 0 to 100, and like that. And as it turns out, the guy was clean. He had his permit. He didn't pull the gun out on anybody. When he went to the glove compartment to get his paperwork out, that's when they really went berserk on him. They pulled him out, handcuffed him, took everything out of his pockets and what have you. And I think it was either his wife or girlfriend happened to be driving by, and then she pulled over. And she started harassing the cops and getting on them. And they had to end up letting him go because he didn't do anything wrong. So see, that could have turned into a bad situation because these cops went from 0 to 100 like that. Just like that.
I'm cool with what Yoddah says. I'm cool with what everybody says, but we gotta take it to the root. And the root of it is the Constitution itself. I spoke about this and I shared this with Base, and we shared this with each other, if the framers of this country had slaves, that document that's running this country is laden with protections that will keep racism up front. And then so we go in it until we go and attack that. The policing is just another part of it, but we got to get to this Constitution, man, that first says that I'm a human being. Because I'm going to always say if it would have been different if there had been black cops going after any black person. It never would have escalated. And I'm going to always expect the worst from a person of European descent in regards to me, because he's not going to give me a break. And that's a matter of the heart, and we got to do some other things to change that. This is a matter of the heart. This cat is not going to look out for me. I'm the enemy. Already, right from, I don't care what kind of training you have. The first thing you're going to say when you see me, when it comes to their mind, and it's not all of them, okay, but the first thing that the bad ones are going to say is, that's an N. That's an N word. And right off the bat, any empathy, sympathy, or whatever for my situation or my circumstances, it's going to go out the window, because you're never going to convince me that an alleged $20 bill is a man is supposed to get killed for that. You're not going to convince me of that. And if this was a white man, would he have done that to a white man? Okay. And sometimes some white guys, they get the brutality, but we'll never see that. That's few and far and in between. But like I said, in my neighborhood, I want the majority of patrol officers to be like my peers. Okay? Because then I know that some discretion will be applied. The only time that a brother won't give a person of color benefit of the doubt if he's absolutely a-hole. And then sometimes they might know it and the person might be really crazy, but he's drunk, and they'll give him some discretion. But I don't care what kind of training it is. I'm not going to expect any Caucasian to deal with any type of discretion when it comes to dealing with me. I just don't believe that. It's got to be a change of the heart, and I don't know how soon that's going to be. I don't know if I'll ever see it in my lifetime, but
what do we know about the background of Chauvin?
He's killed before.
See, that's
but it was a black man too he killed, or was it white?
I think he had a total of 18 complaints against him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, when you go back and watch the vile, evil footage of 9 minutes and 29 seconds of George Floyd's life being diminished and the knee on the neck from Derek Chauvin, he's done that before.
Mm-hmm.
The man was too comfortable, even with the cell phone footage. And thank God that lady did that. It's like, okay, it's camera time. Hey, I'm going to show you to be lackadaisical, put the hand in the pocket and look directly at the camera like, okay, so what? No matter what people were screaming at to get off of him, he's done that before.
Yeah, and
so that's new.
That's the system. That's an indication of the system. We spoke about this on the Persistent Rumor as well, and my buddy and I were focused on the idea that Chauvin was just way too comfortable doing what he was doing. Because that's the question that I had, is why did he even think that was okay? And the only reason that he could think that is because he understood what the system would allow him to do. So what all of us are saying is really the same thing, is that policing has to change at a fundamental level. The entire paradigm for how policing happens in America has to change. It has to be dismantled completely and rebuilt in a far, far better way.
Amen.
Right. And I also thought the following, and I said this from day one on this program and all my other programs, other guest spots I've done, I thought that this was the fix was in, as I always say. And because obviously of what we've seen prior to, I can go back to Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Glendale Castile, that happened in that state of Minnesota, what happened to him as well, and also Breonna Taylor. Just those names alone gives you pause for the police officers not to do any serious time or manslaughter charges dropped. So I was already skeptical from day one. When the charges were about to happen, like most of us being on pins and needles, I thought that he was going to walk. I thought it'd be a hung jury. And then here comes pandemonium. But when I did see the guilty counts of 1 and 2 and 3, yeah, I felt relieved. Only because of the fact that I thought about my family, my friends, and just the human race in general of what would have happened if it would have went in a different direction. And then when you watch again the body language of even because once again him having the COVID-19 mask on, Derek Chauvin, he still didn't care. No remorse, no nothing. Why? Because he fulfills the duty of racist white cops. Mm-hmm. Don't be surprised if he gets a Burger King sandwich as well, or maybe steak.
The country. It listen. They knew it was some fear. It was some fear coming because these young people today weren't going to handle it, and the call came in because they had to save the country. As opposed, somebody had to be an example. This is only the beginning. That's only just one battle. The war is huge. It is huge. This is only one battle. One battle. We don't end here. It ain't no glory. It ain't all over here. We got it. No. It's a call to action for all of us. It's a call to action for us to make this move towards these legislators. We got the power. We have to go after this political power. I mean, relentlessly. Do not stop, because that Constitution has anything that's in there that protects white supremacy, we got to get in and do a root canal on it. We got to take it out. Anything that's in there, constitutional scholars, all that stuff where anybody can hide behind the racism, it's got to be gone. It's got to be gone. And we need to take it back as far as what they did was like what they were talking about with them at Till. We got to take it there. And then even with Billy Hot, the strange fruit, all this kind of stuff, the racism, not only the racism, the Constitution itself, whatever's in there. We got our scholars, everybody that's on there that's questionable. We got to do, man, bump this dude. He got caught. He got to fall on the sword. He got to get in there and worry about the rest of his life because he's going to have to be protected.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be protected.
Yeah.
Is anything going to change?
Not unless we go after that Constitution. This is nothing but a Band-Aid. This is nothing but a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is nothing but a Band-Aid.
And I don't even think it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I think that it was in their face, that they had to address this issue based on the facts that were presented.
The call came in, baby.
Yeah, I was shocked that it came in as fast as it did. That came in fairly fast for this. But did you all listen to what his attorney, the bullshit? I ain't even gonna say BS. I'm just gonna say the bullshit that his defense attorney tried to put down.
Well, he had to say that. He had no choice because he knew he knew there was no defense.
It was a no-win situation, really.
He was trying to spin this yarn talking about, well, he was performing his duties as a police officer.
And so in my mind, so
that was his whole defense.
And as Ice Cube said, his duty is serve, protect, and break a nigga's neck.
Yeah, that's exactly it was a KN call. Kill a Negro.
Yeah.
It was a KN call. It was a KN call.
Yeah, and then they tried to say, just rehashing a little bit of it, that he was going to die anyway because he had so much fentanyl in his system that he was destined to die. He was going to die from drugs. Well, I told him on my show on Tuesday, and I feel like it's worth repeating. Okay. First of all, that man could have walked away from that scenario dealing with the police under whatever influence or whatever drugs he had, and deliverance could have came into his life at any given moment. Okay. Any given moment, and I emphasize the fact there's nothing more powerful than a praying grandmother. So if anybody in his family prayed for him, he had the opportunity to live a long and prosperous life because somebody had been sending prayers up on his behalf. So his drug addiction should be a non-issue. Whatever his physical condition should have been a non-issue in the defense of this case. Okay, they brought it up like it was, he was going to die anyway because he had all this drug problem. But I the other side of that is there are people that survive drug addictions all the time. They're successful
Ron,
people.
That's the playbook, though. That's the playbook that is used on every single one of these cases. It's never about the facts of the case. It's about the character assassination.
Yeah, and that's what it was. But it didn't work in this case. But we still got other cases out here that are still yet to be determined. Okay? They have not arrested any of those cops down in Louisville for shooting blindly into an apartment, killing a lady that didn't have anything to do with what was going on. Okay? Sandra Bland. They have still
Brianna.
Brianna. But they still have not brought charges against them for the murder of this young lady.
no rights to which A black man has no rights to which a white man is bound to respect. What is it?
State of mind. It's a state of mind.
Not the state of mind. That was
the Dred Scott case.
Yeah, the Dred Scott case, and that was the Chief Justice. That's what he rendered. That was the decision. That's what he said, and that's still out here. So that comes from the Constitution. The way he set that up. He said the framers of this country had no intention of looking at us of having freedom. So we got to deal with that and not take acts. Not take no acts. We got to have laws that reckon.
I agree with you in your earlier statement. We have to change portions of the Constitution because as long as there are judges that are saying, well, I'm going to rule on this because per the Constitution,
yes,
this is the law. But when I, based on common sense and based on the fact that this shit was written in a time when they could not see this far into the future with technology changes and, I'll deal with it, the gun issues that we're having. When they wrote the Constitution, men were shooting muskets. Mm-hmm. Half the time, those things would blow up in your face. Mm-hmm. They were not accurate. So, yeah, it made sense then. But there was no idea in the hands of the forefathers when they were penning the Constitution that someday there would be automatic rifles and handguns that could shoot, 20 times in 15 seconds. They couldn't see that. And I think if they could see that far in the future, there would have been some language in there. So it's incumbent upon us as reasonable, as the defense attorney said, as reasonable people to change those segments in the Constitution and make them adaptable to the situation that we have today.
Absolutely.
And it's not just gun control. There's a lot of other pieces of the Constitution that needs to be amended.
Absolutely. And that big one that says we can vote, period.
Yeah. We shouldn't be dealing with no voting acts. It should be law that any American citizen has the right to vote. And for these assholes that are trying to make it more difficult, because as a Republican, the Republican Party has a hard time getting people out to vote because your policies, your politics are wrong. The majority of the people in this country do not support the foundation and the basis of the Republican Party. So they have to cheat. They have to make it difficult for people to get out to the polls and vote. So any kind of way that we have been trying to make it easier for people who are disabled, who don't have public or even public transportation access, that live in rural areas, these people, it's hard for them to get out and vote. So voting by mail or voting in advance, dropping it off in a box, that makes it more difficult for the Republicans to win. We saw that in this latest presidential election. It didn't work in their favor, even though jackass Trump got 74 million votes, which I don't believe were all real, but it is what it is. They said it was close to a perfect election. Okay, I gotta buy that. The fact of the matter is he lost by 7, almost 8 million votes. So I don't want to hear any more belly aching. I don't want to hear another Republican talk about any kind of voter fraud, because in the various investigations around the country, at the most they found 10 votes that were questionable, 10 people that were dead that voted again. I mean, 10 votes would not make a difference in any election, in any outcome of the election, one way or the other. So it's minuscule, but they're trying to make a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, 150 million votes cast and 10 were found to be possibly fraudulent. That's almost statistically non-existent.
Exactly. So I'm sick and tired of hearing that, and I submit and request that all Republicans, come on, man, walk away from that bullshit, because that, as you would say, that dog won't hunt. It's not going to work, man. You can keep lying to people. You can keep throwing this bullshit out in the air, but people that have common sense can see right through your madness, man. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know what? I was watching Jimmy Kimmel last night, and he had George W. Bush on. He's got a book out, and he's painting. Pretty good stuff. But you know what? He was funny and human. And I was not a George Bush fan, but I'd rather have him than what we had with Trump. George Bush was kind of a buffoon, but he wasn't a complete asshole and have disregard for everything that made sense. He played he played politics, but at least from time to time, he seemed to be human. So
I haven't liked W. I mean, I did. I had more respect for W when he could duck 2 pairs of flying shoes.
they rolled that tape last night too.
Yeah, that dude, man. I'm telling you, you could do that, man. He was. They were actually pretty quick. I was like, okay, he got some moves, man. But and going back to the whole Chauvin trial, I thought what was interesting was the jury had no questions.
Yeah, not one.
Usually in a trial, the jury will have some questions. There were none whatsoever. And I thought it was interesting if they want to send a major message. In my humble opinion, I sat there and watched it. It would have been cool for them to come out with the verdicts at 9 hours and 29 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it would have been symbolic. Number one, this is symbolic. We're about symbolic. Yeah, I thought that would be very interesting. And the fact that it's only, let's go back to what you said, Professor. It's only one in this real time that we're talking about right now. And you would think that, and going back to what you said, Lee, about common sense, we all know it's not common anymore. Case in point, if we can prove that there is obviously institutionalized racism in the police departments, say, for example, a memo was brought out to all the police officers there in Minnesota. Okay, the world is watching, the nation is watching. Do not shoot or kill any N-words. Just keep your pistols to yourself until you get this thing taken care of, quote unquote, because you operated by evil. And what we get right there in the same backyard, Kim Potter and murdering Dante Wright. People have to understand, when you look at the history of law enforcement when it comes to our people, Black and brown people, going on 500 years plus, the trust factor is always going to be questionable. Always will be. It's a step in the right direction, but how many times we said it's a step in the right direction? It has to have some merit to it.
I think, and we can't overlook the fact that the Attorney General, when the Attorney General stepped in, that was a done deal, because if it had been left in Minnesota, it'd have been chaos. It'd have been burn, baby, burn. But like I said, the call came in, and they had to get this one right. But like I say, it's only one. It's only one victory. We only won We only won one battle, but the war is still going on.
That's right.
It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some changes of heart in people, because a lot of people, they done got mad. Their attitudes done got, they don't want to be bothered with it. You're gonna have some cats gonna feel like they're emboldened and gonna go out there and try to test these police, and they're gonna end up getting their head busted and they're gonna get shot. All this old crazy kind of stuff. It's just not gonna stop. But there has to be a change of heart in everybody in this country. Everyone needs to have a change of heart in the way we look at things. We have to be smarter as citizens, and then police, that reform that Yoddah is talking about, that has to come. But there has to be a change of heart where we all have love and respect for one another. That's first.
That's absolutely. That's step one. And I think that's what the majority of the American people or speaking of, hey, respect me as a human being, as your equal. Don't look down your nose at me and think that I'm less than you are. Because you have a gun and a badge does not mean you're the smartest guy in the room. It means that you have a certain amount of training, and I think the training is flawed. If it's okay, based on training and the experts, the chief of police and other members of the police force there in Minnesota, all agreed that this guy went above and beyond his training. That is not a part of the training. So anybody that is a police officer and you do something against what you were trained to do, that should be an automatic problem. And I saw a comment here a few minutes ago. I think it was from Red Beans and Rice. Where is it? Yeah, I'll post it up again. The Columbus police officer, Philip Walls, used 154 force incidents and only reprimanded one time? Come on, man. The numbers, I mean, really, the numbers, 154 times you did something that was very questionable.
But it was acceptable within the department, though.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah,
it's that blue code again.
Yeah, y'all remember last year when they started the protests and the riots around George Floyd's death in Chicago? They issued orders for the police to ease up on busting people in the head. And it were many police at that time said that they were going to take early retirement because they were not going to operate with their hands, tied up and allowing people to do whatever they wanted to do. It was like, man, they had a major cry out for, like getting more recruits in the academy because there was so many cops that said, no, it's over. I'm done. If I can't do what I used to be able to do, I'm getting out of here.
Man, if I can't beat nobody upside the head like I want, I can't. I mean,
they said that, and they said it vocally. They are loud. It's like, look, I'm not going to sit up here and let these people do what they want to do, and I'm the police.
And you gotta look up that DOJ report, that Department of Justice report on the CPD. You got to get that read.
I remember when it came out.
Man, it's because all of that stuff, that blue code and all that kind of stuff, that stuff is in there. That stuff is in there.
And just like New York and California,
That's right.
All the major cities had the same issues with their departments. Now, like going back to OJ. Come on now. They fabricated evidence trying to take this man down. Come on now.
Listen, even in dealing with police, and I say this again, even Mr. Rustin, who was working with A. Philip Randolph, the Big Six, on the March of Washington, he brought in New York police that he knew to protect the marches against the D.C., Virginia police of the area. He brought other police in to watch them because the badges respect the badge, but
sometimes,
but those cops in DC, Maryland, and in that area, they was ready to go upside people's heads. Just for doing that. So, but he had to bring in police from New York that he knew to protect the marches. Now, come on now, and that's cause of the latent. The way they've been living, okay? Because I'm gonna stop giving power to that word racism all the time, man. We got to do something else. We got to do something else, and we got to go at it another way.
I think that until the good cops will come out and speak up against the bad cops, and even if your chief of police is bad, there's somebody that you as a street officer can report him or her to bring some heat on them. It's got to start within. If you got bad apples in your family, you got some dysfunctional people in your family. Uncle Willie, you know he's crazy. He gets drunk every Friday night. And he doesn't get back to normal until 6 a.m. on Monday morning when he's got to go back to his 9 to 5. He's toe up and act a damn fool all weekend long. You know that. You got two choices. You can continue to let Uncle Willie portray himself as a damn fool, or you can get him some help. Okay? So you have a responsibility to work within your framework, within that police department, your family. That's supposed to be your family. You riding with a guy every day and you know that this guy has a criminal tendency, that he likes to beat people up. He likes to pull his gun out and shoot people. He likes to use all kind of crazy threats and what have you. You know that about him. Number one, you need to say, yo, man, you need to calm down with that. You know, you're going to get both of us killed out here. I'd go there first. And if that didn't work, then I would go to my superior. I would go to the sergeant, the lieutenant, the captain, whoever I thought would be that would be willing to hear my cry. You can't go to the sergeant and you know that the sergeant and your riding buddy every day, they go hang out in the bar on the weekend. That's not going to work. Yeah. So you know who the good people are. You know who the bad people are. Well, you guys have a responsibility to do that.
But they would be met with pushback. It's funny you mentioned that because I was watching local news here in Chicago, the ABC affiliate, Channel 7. And I'm watching it, and they were getting local reaction from officers about the whole thing, the Derek Chauvin trial. They went to a former lieutenant, African-American, and he was saying this is stuff that's going on with, cops and racism for years. If the good cop came forward and said, this happened to me, or this happened with my partner, then they face retaliation.
Right.
Right.
So they got to worry about their asses being kicked or damn near killed, looking over both shoulders when they leave the house every day.
That's right.
Who in the hell wants that? And that's also similar to, I don't know, look at gangs. If a gang member got out of line, what the hell are you doing? We're going to kick your ass again to make sure you don't even think about trying to do what's right or go against the system or go against what this gang is doing.
Then you know what, though?
And same with gangs and same with certain police departments.
But then you're complicit. You're a part of the problem. You got two choices. You can stay there and try to work within the system and change it, or pack your bags, step. Then once you get outside, then you can maybe be more effective. You can go to the authorities above your local police department, go to the Department of Justice and say, hey, look, man, I quit. I was a police officer for 10 years, and here are the problems that I saw and experienced during my 10 years working in that local police department. You guys need to go in and investigate these allegations that I'm giving you right now. These are the facts.
And they do that. Go ahead, Reggie.
Yo, Bays, tails in the
hood. Yes.
Now, there's another solution. Most of y'all old enough to remember the Vietnam War, right?
Of course.
When they had a bad lieutenant in the field, he wound up dead in the field. Because them guys, boy, look,
that was a do or die thing, Yeah, exactly. You got a bad guy out there giving you bad, commands.
Yeah, man.
You want to go home.
It was called jungle justice.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of friendly fire.
Yeah, friendly
by the way,
fire.
Jungle Justice is another stripper I know.
So Chocolate Yoddah. No. Well, you telling me I got the night off? I ain't gotta go there tonight.
Oh.
I don't think you ever take a night off, Ron.
No.
No,
Never,
but you know what? And it's everything that we're saying, it echoes throughout the country. We are at a threshold where we cannot give up on pushing this to the forefront, of what's going on. I don't agree with Lee by saying that there's good cops. I don't believe it's such a thing, because these guys get behind closed doors and they know what each other is doing, and nobody's doing nothing about it. So that makes them a co-conspirator when they ignore, what's going on, and they know it's wrong. They know it's not, helping or benefiting anybody.
And it's as old as time. It's as
It's
old
as
as time.
time.
The film Serpico was about that. That came out in 1973.
Exactly.
Al Pacino, right?
Yeah. So, these guys know what's going on. And I hear them say, oh, the good cops can now come forward. No, they're not going to. Because
let's encourage them. Let's encourage them to do it.
These guys like pulling down paychecks, and they don't want to catch friendly fire themselves. Okay. Because there's more of them that are white than it is black. There's no full 100% black police department nowhere. Okay. So you got to get in the car and respond to a situation with this guy behind you that you just ratted out his homie from last week. Come on, man.
He gonna
he's not gonna do it. But it's a situation where we just got to keep telling people, cover your backside until some things can begin to start to look different, where there's a uniform code of justice and where we're policing our own communities, where we're taking care of our own, we looking out for our own children, we looking out for our own mothers and fathers. I saw YouTube.
I agree with you 100%, but Ron, that's going to take a minute for it to get to that level. So, we got to start to go into the core of the rotten apple. Mm-hmm. That's where the change has got to start first, within the police departments all over America. Yeah, and we need to get some of these guns off the street. How many mass shootings in the last, since the first of the year? It's
too many.
It's just scary, crazy.
Yeah, too many.
Every damn day. All over America, right here in Las Vegas, man, there's so much violence that goes on every day. Down on the Strip, there's a video that's floating around right now where this group of people, they were in like an outdoor food gallery area, and apparently this happened to be a brother that got into an argument over a freaking taco. And they beat this guy with chairs. They kicked him. They punched him. They threw him on the ground over a fucking taco. Really? That's the stuff that just turns my gut. And my blood boils when I see human beings acting the damn fool like that. Every day in Las Vegas, there's some kind of crazy car accident. Babies found dead in trunks of cars and apartment complexes, domestic violence. It's just rampant every day, several times a day in little Las Vegas. I'm not talking about New York City or Chicago or Los Angeles or Detroit or Washington, D.C. or Baltimore. I'm talking about Las Vegas. So the crime that's going on in America needs to be rooted out. If it means getting rid of some of these guns from crazy people, then that's what we got to do, folks. And listen, I don't own a gun, but I'm thinking about getting one. And yes, I will get a permit. And then in Vegas or Nevada, you can carry that arm open carry in the state. I don't want to go there, but I will protect myself and my family.
The wild, wild,
and my dogs.
And
I'll bust a cap in a coyote's ass if he goes after my dog. I will do that.
The dog was supposed to be protecting you.
To all you PETA people out there, I'm telling you right now, you'll be -1 coyote because I've already lost a dog to a coyote.
The wild, wild west.
I thought the dog was supposed to protect you, man. You talking about you got to shoot in the name of the dog.
Well, the people go after your dog, man. They don't give a damn.
Yeah, that's true. They went after that girl's dog.
Wild, wild west.
Yeah. He showed me kidnapped her. Yeah, kidnapped her dog and didn't even know it was her. What was that? She was over in Europe somewhere. Yeah, they rough. Yep.
Yeah, little 16-year-old Bryant. I want to know the rest of that story because somebody called the police talking about somebody with a knife, or there was a fight going on. I haven't heard who that. I don't know if they've identified that person yet, and what was the reason that the fight was going on, and who was the guy that kicked the girl that was on the ground? Who was he? Did you see that part of it?
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I miss all this stuff.
When the cop was coming up, the only thing I heard him say is, "What's going on here?" And he was quite a few number of feet away at that point. So as he was approaching the situation, there was a guy and a girl. I don't know if she was pushed, hit, or whatever, fell on the ground, and he kicked at her. And then to the left of that is where the girl was, and there was a girl in pink who was up against a car, and the girl had the knife in her hand. And based on the angle of the cop and the way it was being filmed, she was shot in the back and maybe in the side by the time she was going down. But 4 times this child was shot. Yes, she had a knife in her hand, but I didn't hear that cop say, "Put the knife down." Within 2 seconds, he had bust 4 rounds in her. That part of the training, I think, is wrong.
And she was dead. And the police chief came on today and said, no, they couldn't have shot her in the leg. No, they couldn't have shot the knife out of her hand, because that stuff is on TV. We are
of course
center mass, and that's what he did. He shot center mass and
4 times.
Yep.
That's excessive.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion, that's excessive. And I'm not trying to excite anything. I'm just giving my opinion based on what we know at this point. Now, maybe she was the bad guy. Maybe she started the fight. Maybe she was the perpetrator. We don't know yet. And certainly based on what we saw, there are many experts, cops, ex-cops are saying the cop did the right thing. However, my heart and soul tells me before you pull the trigger on someone, know more than what that cop knew. And I got to believe that this cop is sitting there at his dinner table saying, shit, did I do the right thing? Did I have to bust a cap in her that quickly? Could I have put a round or 2 in the ground and the noise from my gun may have distracted her long enough for me and my partner to go over and contain the situation?
Well, that's assuming he's bothered at all by what he did.
Right. Or at the dinner table, the same cop we talk about could say, pass the potatoes. We don't know the mentality, and it's a very valid question to ask. But again, it's like one of those things where what we've seen unfolding in the past, say, 2 months, and the stories keep revealing themselves because it's been going on already. We just now peeping into it because of today's technology and 24-hour cycle on the internet. Mm-hmm. And so now we see it in real time, unfortunately, or we get it in real time, or both. But we have to realize that to fight against it is to fight all those centuries that has been indoctrinated from the Constitution into institutionalized racism. And I said earlier before in my first piece about superheroes and linking nonfiction and fiction. And I even go to Superman. To fight racism will forever be, in my opinion, the never-ending battle.
Wow. I'm reading a comment here from Red Beans and Rice. Are you saying the police are 40% of the Chicago entire budget? 40% of the budget in Chicago goes to the police department and people are getting killed there every day?
That's not unusual.
But so that money is not being used well. We need better management in there.
Defunding is about defunding.
Well, yeah,
terrible naming convention, but the idea of defunding is about redistributing funds, because a lot of what you're talking about, Lee, like if you take Nevada, I bet you if you allocated funds to economic development, crime would automatically go down. A lot of these crimes
no
are based
question.
on the fact that people don't have money.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was a big thing. What Red Beans just brought out was they protested very loudly about once they found out that a lot of the federal funds that was channeled into this city for corona relief went straight to the police department. You know, there was a large influx of money that went into, you know, the police budget to help them, you know,
to buy military weaponry, tanks and
bigger,
Humvees.
be bigger and badder police, you know.
Listen, I'll say this, man. Being a cop is a tough job. I wouldn't do it for nothing in the world. You couldn't pay me more than I made in radio to be a cop because it's a tough job.
I mean, you get free donuts. You get free donuts.
No. Not even free donuts and coffee. No. Not happening. But listen, on the real, it's a tough job. But obviously, the way it's being used today, it's not working well. When people are dying every day at the hands of cops, and some of these people are bad people. I get that. But even those bad people sometimes get away in a way that other people don't, that are not hardcore criminals. Decent citizens die at the hands of cops too often. And then we see videos of non-people of color talk to the cops like they're crazy, and they go home. They drive away from a stop by the cops and say, man, screw you. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm going home. And they drive away. You don't see them unload their guns in the back of that car, and this guy's driving away. He goes home. How is that? How is that?
We see people with knives that
absolutely
the police talked down because they decided to de-escalate, and just by coincidence, those people happen to be Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people are so upset.
Yeah, you
because it's not balanced.
You cannot overlook that white people with guns stormed the Michigan Capitol.
Right.
You cannot overlook
yeah, but
that.
what they did was legal, though. That's not analogous. It's they were in a building that allowed, and they didn't storm. They just showed up. So it's not quite the same thing.
Okay, you bumped your damn head. They kicked in doors and windows and
no, not
in Michigan, not in Michigan.
Oh, well, I'm talking about.
But what I'm saying is,
DC.
Some black people showed up in Michigan
or anywhere, not just Michigan.
Sure.
Under the same protest, it would have been a massacre.
Yeah, there'd been a different outcome.
I think that's 100% accurate. But we don't want to misstate what the situation was.
Yeah. Well, no, I just wanted to, emphasize another incident of white privilege and guns, because I've seen all through the last 2 weeks where they've been showing white guy in a truck backed up, knocked over a couple of police cars, and the cop was sitting there with a long gun. And this guy just drove off, and they didn't fire not a shot at him. He drove off with a cop's arm stuck on the driver's side, and he was hitting the driver. The driver was hitting the cop with a hammer. And the guy, they let him go, and they went and picked him up later. He's alive. He's in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Assault on a police officer. All white people involved. All white people. So. That's the direction I'm going.
The idea that more white people get killed by police than black people, and that's true, but that's not a per capita analysis. Right. If you look at it per capita, black people are 250% more likely to be killed by police. So we got to stop that false equivalency.
And if they're not killed, they end up in jail. Yeah. And a lot of times on some bullshit charges.
CNN's Chris Cuomo had a very interesting quote. He said that the only way that this is going to have a complete halt or stop, or at least have a very, very serious conversation, if we see more white people and more white children get shot and killed by police. And then, as person, now we have a conversation. And, I thought about that, and he's correct. I hate to say it.
Well, we don't feel pain until it hits your home.
When it happens to you, and you're, hey, wait a minute, this is wrong. If you go back, for example, Phil Donahue used to be on, talk show host on syndicated TV, and you go back and watch the episode when he had Minister Louis Farrakhan on. Sheer brilliance. It was a fantastic program. The one thing that I liked was, obviously we know how the minister comports himself, but when he made the statement, I paraphrase the minister, about white people saying they're sorry that this happened between our people, and he was saying, this one lady, you benefit, you being white, from your ancestors doing what they did to my people. And the white guilt that you have, you're afraid that once we get into power as black folk, they do the exact same thing to you. Sheer brilliance.
That is the big fear.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep, it is. And the statistics, as we've said before, in the next 20 years, non-people of color are going to be the majority, and it's primarily going to be Asians. The Asian population is growing at a rate that's going to surpass black and Hispanic combined. They will be the power structure in terms of the number of people in the next 20 years or so. And that's what's driving the average racist white guy, mainly white guy, and there's some white women that are a little crazy too. That's what's going on. The future shock is driving them crazy. What you guys need to understand is that's America. And it all started when you came over here, and when you brought people that look like me over here. That was the beginning of this becoming a melting pot. And you can't stop it now. That is America. And the young white people, they were out there in the streets protesting along with people of color. And at sometimes, in most cases in some of these cities, it was more white people out there than it was black or Latinos or Asians or whatever. So the wave has already started, and you cannot stop it. It's happening. It's going to move forward. Accept it. Embrace it. And you know what? Listen, folks. It's going to be okay. I promise you. I may not live long enough to see it, but I believe in my heart and my soul that America will continue to move forward, thrive, and continue to be a great nation, because humanity will win over racism. I believe it.
All right.
I'm with you, Lee. I don't think I'm going to be alive to see it either.
I'm going to try to hang on because I want to be able to go to an auction and buy a white family.
Yeah, it's going to take a whole lot, brother. It's going to take a whole lot. My kids may see it, Yep. And that's what I believe. My kids will see it. Just like I believe my kids will find out what really went on with this damn corona story that they telling, Yeah. Another conspiracy, Reggie.
Yeah, I'm up, Katrina. So what you talking about, man? What's the conspiracy? I like
man.
Man, shoot.
I said when they finally decide to tell the story, my kids will hear it. Yeah.
I mean, if that be the case, then, and if it's true that history repeats itself, then this is just a replay of what happened in 1918, when the first one hit, when the first big pandemic,
the Spanish flu,
yeah, when that hit, and then 100 years later, we get hit with another one. So then I guess we'll get hit with another one in another 100 years. Well, we won't be here if that's how it's going. And I don't think, did they ever bring out the story about that first one?
Well, I read a lot about it. What do you want to know?
You read a lot about it? Spit it out, man, because like I said, I know some things.
It can be summed up by same as it ever was. All of the mistakes that were made in 1918 are being repeated now. And that is simply people rushing back out before it's time.
Oh, okay. All right.
And not washing a nasty ass.
Yeah. And here's what they discovered
and environment.
In 1918. That was the first flu virus was developed after that because they found there was a scientist or a doctor that realized that milkmaids were not getting sick, and there was an enzyme in cow's milk that turned out to be turned into the first flu vaccine. But aside from that, they learned that one of the best ways to fight against the pandemic was fresh air and sunshine.
Now you sounded like Trump.
No. He was
son, the heat is going to kill us.
No. This is still true today that the safest place for people to be is outside in sunlight, because sunlight kills the virus immediately. Trump was talking about injecting bleach into your veins.
No, but he did say when the summer comes around, the heat and the sun.
Yeah, he was talking about the heat because he's an idiot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Come on, man! Don't talk about the ex-president like that.
I'm not talking about Obama. I'm talking about dumb.
Wait. What are you talking about, ex-president, man? Don't you know the White House is in Florida? Come on now, stop.
Yeah, right. Okay. Let it stay there, right, with the rest of them knuckleheads down there.
Yeah,
I yield my time to the members on the floor already speaking. I yield my time.
Yeah, now listen, folks, if y'all want to get a real nice piece of entertainment, and I think there's some interesting timing. Just a couple of years ago, a TV show on TNT came on. It was called The Last Ship. And I think it was about 10 episodes. And it was based on a virus that took over the world. It was killing people all over the world. And there was one United States Navy ship out at sea when this thing kicked off. And basically, they had a couple of scientists or doctors on the ship. And they came up with a cure. And, there was some episodes where we got into a tussle with a Russian ship and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, the scientists on that ship came up with the vaccine that cured and saved all these people. But by the time that happened, the president of the United States was dead, the vice president, I think the speaker of the House, who was down to a low-level cabinet member, ended up being the new president. And then there was some corruption in it. But it was interesting show. Check it out. The Last Ship on TNT.
The Last Ship on TNT.
Yeah, check it out. It's a lot of parallels of what what we're still going through. But I'll say this. By the way, guys, Saturday before last, I took the shot. Took the shot. Yeah,
what?
I did. Yeah, I did.
You took a hit?
I took I got shot.
Did you go with?
Pfizer.
Okay.
I took it while I was in LA and went to the old Forum in a drive-through. I didn't even get out of my car. And the reason I did it is because, and not that I was anti, I just wanted to give it time to see, as this real-time clinical trial is going on, because it has not been officially announced as a true vaccine. It's an emergency vaccine. So that being said, I said I wanted to wait and see over a course of 3-4 months now, as 200 million people in the United States have had at least one shot. I thought that by now it's the outcome I was more comfortable with. I'm not crazy about the Johnson & Johnson. And at one time I was saying, I'll go with that because it's one shot. And I don't want to have to come back for a second shot. But then when the reports started coming out that was not so stable and what have you, I said, let me cancel that one. And then Moderna seemed to have had more side effects and people having more problems with that one than the Pfizer. So through the process of elimination, I went with the Pfizer. My daughter down in Texas got the Moderna shot. I told her not to. See, she's grown. She don't have to listen to dad no more. But she had what she calls corona arm, and she says her lymph nodes are swollen.
Wow.
And so, people are getting different side effects. Now, my youngest boy, Corey, he took the Pfizer, and he felt a little jacked up for a few days. He was tired, but, Corey, you like to sleep anyway. So he said felt tired and, felt a little fatigued and what have you. I think he might have had a little bit of headache. But those are some of the minor problems that people have come up with, but less side effects on the Pfizer. So I went with that. I'm supposed to get the second one on May 2nd.
Man, I told my doctor a joke about that Pfizer, man. Just from the name alone, brother should have been running up in that.
What's up, John Lewis? Hope you're doing well, bro. He's down in Texas. First shot. Okay, who's that? Oh, Anthony Hamilton, you got the Moderna? You got your first shot?
Oh, man.
Yeah, good luck, bro. I hope it turns out well for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 So nobody else has had it yet? Y'all hold up. Y'all must be Republicans.
I'm not.
40% of the Republicans down in the South said no, they ain't gonna do it.
Man, I'd rather be called the N-word. Jesus.
Oh God.
And I have a very rational reason why I'm not doing it. I had this conversation with my doctor last week. Anytime that you do a research project, when you're experimenting with medicine, they do a complete physical on you, so they know your health going into the project. And then whether they give you the placebo or whether they give you the actual medicine, they still monitor you through the project. Mm-hmm. And that project can work for 6 months, 6 years. They monitor you throughout this whole time period to determine what the effects of what this medicine is going to do to you before they release it to the public. Mm-hmm. Well, I ain't had no physical and they ain't took no blood from me, so they don't know what this thing gonna do to me. And I'm not standing in line to get shot, in both my shoulders.
You bring up a good point, Dr. Ron. And I did go to my doctor, or several doctors. I went to my MD, I went to my cardiologist, I went to a urologist. I didn't get a pedicure or manicure before getting the shot, but I thought I went through all the different parts or medical professionals, and all of them asked me the question, have you gotten vaccinated yet? And I said, no. So, well, why not? And I gave them my reason. And they said, I agree, and that's smart and good thinking. And I would then turn to them and say, well, have you had it yet? And they all said yes. I said, well, which vaccine did you get? And they all said Pfizer. I said, did you have any side effects? They all said no. Said arm was a little tender for, a day or two. Maybe the cough might be that. But other than that, they said no problem. Yeah.
Hey, can I have your collection of mics?
Man.
Damn.
Damn, man.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah.
I took it.
Damn. Yeah, I'm gonna give you. I'll leave you in my will. You can have my mics. Let's see. I'm gonna give my lights to Dr. Ron. You don't need no lights. I'm gonna give half of them to Reggie and half of them to Chris. And let's see, Chris, you gotta. Let me see. Who needs a mixer?
No, man, I want the black magic. I don't want no lights. I can get the lights. I want the black magic.
Oh, you want the video switch? Okay.
Black magic.
Okay, cool. Well, by then I might have the 8 input one. So I'll give one of you the 4 input and the other one the 8 input.
All right.
So y'all can do all
8
kind
input was another stripper that I knew. Hi-oh.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you've been hanging out in Jersey an awful lot, bro.
And Moderna was a stripper also. Yeah, she was a pole swinger.
Yeah. But you understand, after I had that conversation with my doctor about, checking my blood and my vitals and everything before I get shot in the arm, that makes perfectly good sense when you are experimenting, to try and see what's going to happen with the effects, like you give me a shot, then you send me away, then, you come back for the second shot and then you send me away again. So it's not like you're monitoring to see what has happened. And then if I do it voluntarily, if I'm supposed to get in a research project, they're going to give me a check.
All right, yeah.
I'm experimenting to make the world a better place. They're going to send me a check every week, along with physicals and, maybe even a good nurse every now and then. For me to,
thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lee.
Not a regular nurse, a good nurse.
A good nurse. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you a nurse
Miss Goodbody. Nurse Goodbody, report to the examination room, please.
I got some bad news for everybody, though. We haven't even started to understand the role that the variants are going to play in all this.
Yeah, we don't.
It could be that you're going to have to get a vaccine for every new variant.
Well, they're already saying, the Pfizer, I think, is already saying a year from now you're going to need a booster. But, we did that with polio and, all the other vaccines. Hopefully a year from now that the booster may be improved and maybe it'll have a wider coverage of some of the other strains that have come out. And it might even help with the flu, because the flu apparently has been down, and I think largely because people have been distanced from each other. Mm-hmm. We've been wearing a mask, and you nasty people have been washing your hands more often. And that will help a lot of viruses and bacteria and what have you. Just keeping your environment clean every damn day. I use these Clorox wipes, and I wipe down all the light switches, doorknobs, the faucets, the handles on the toilet. I do that. When I go out of the apartment here in Vegas, when we go to the elevator, I wipe the buttons before I touch them. I have those little wipes with me all the time.
I wear gloves.
Well, gloves is cool. That's cool. But if you touch something with the glove and then you touch your face with the gloves on, you're still messed up. So I try to kill the virus and germs on contact that I have to come in contact with. And then I do the sanitation stuff, that what do you call it? The stuff you put on your hands. Yeah, I do all of that. I do wear a mask, and then when I'm in a grocery store or an environment where I'm going to have to come into somewhat close proximity or contact with people, I'll double bag my mask. It's like putting on 2 condoms when you pick up a girl in the club.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
And I yield back my time.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
And it's funny. Reggie is the first one to holler, ouch, and he know he ain't going nowhere. Oh, man, this is crazy. But you know what? With all the things that you doing, Lee, you didn't need the damn vaccine, sounds like.
Well, I have to go out in public. I own a limousine service, and my clientele is beginning to come back. So when I go back to Los Angeles on the weekends, that's what I'm doing, guys. I don't do all the driving. I still have 3 or 4 other drivers that I work with, and I give the majority of those rides to them. And that helps bring food into their homes as well. So my hope is my business will continue to recover and I can get back to the level of expanding the business, because in 2020 was the year that I was going to expand into 10 other cities outside of LA. That didn't happen because of COVID. And I don't know that it'll happen in 2021. And if things get really back up and running like it was in 2019, maybe I might be able to see that in 2022 or 2023. But by then I'll be ready to retire from every damn thing, and y'all can, call me on the phone.
I heard that.
Because I'm going to find myself a beach somewhere, and I don't drink, but I will probably be drinking a lot of fruit juices and talking shit from the beach.
And with umbrellas in them, right?
Well, no.
No juice.
That's a Hawaii thing.
Oh, man. Okay.
That's right. FaceTime and Cash App. I like that one. That's right on, Ron. Anthony. Yeah, but you know what? Listen, on the real side, as a result of COVID-19, a lot of things have changed. Most people didn't know anything about a damn Zoom. Most people hadn't even used Skype yet. And now, the system that we're using now, StreamYard, there's another one out there called, you sent me the link to it.
Riverside.fm.
Well, no, there was another one you sent me too. Was it Riverside?
I only sent you Riverside. Yeah.
Somebody else sent me one then. It's another one pretty similar to StreamYard. And you got all kinds of systems out there. You got some that are all browser-based, which we're using here, and others you install on your computer, like XSplit and Zcam. No, what's the other one? Ecamm is on a Mac only. So there's a number of systems that allow you to do conferencing and live streaming that if it was not for COVID-19, those apps and platforms wouldn't be as popular as they are today.
That's right.
WebEx is another one that a lot of the TV stations use. So our lives have changed greatly. A lot of it will remain because it's more cost effective for corporate America to keep you working at home. And the byproduct of that, your car insurance should go down because you're driving less. So the risk factor goes down for the insurance companies, and you need to talk to your insurance company about that. So if you were driving 150 miles or 200 or 300 miles a week, and you're down to 25 miles now, you need to let your insurance company know that you're working from home. Your risk factor, right? Does that make sense? Your tires are going to last longer. You won't have to get your oil changed as often. Your tune-ups.
Deadly. Those two things I got to get that oil changed in them tune-ups.
Well, yeah. I mean, every 3,000 or depending on the type of car you got. Some of them are 15,000, 7,000 miles, whatever. But the fact of the matter is you should see a little reduction in some of your expenses because of it.
That's right. And all of them. The only thing that's probably going to go up is food.
Yeah, it is inching up already.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get us out of here, Lee. Get us out of here. It's 10 o'clock. Get us out of here.
Oh, you're the first one to cry. You the 3.5 hour man.
Look. Unlike you, I did not have dinner while the show was going on. Okay.
Oh well, I have to eat it when it's presented.
I know, right?
Right. Yeah. I can't turn it down. And say later. That doesn't work. How?
Yeah,
how are y'all managing?
Wait a minute. That's Ron says get us out of here, man. Because I'm like, wait a minute. Ron likes to go 3-4 hours. Talk about the show now. They talk about his bedroom life. We talk about the show. But You know,
exactly.
He's like, get out of here now. I'm like, okay, all right.
Hey man, I gotta eat. I gotta eat dinner, bro.
And then after we go off the air, see, we end up in the green room for another 2 hours. So,
yeah,
that's how Ron rolls. All right, thank you guys, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channels, whether you're listening to us on YouTube or Facebook or where we Twitch and what's the other one? Twitter. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us, and tell a friend. And red beans and rice, and yes, how are y'all managing strippers in the pandemic? It's called social distancing. And Pornhub.
I call it doggy style.
Oh, damn. Oh, now you need a gong for that one. Not a real shot. Right. Oh, I'm speechless. On that note, that's it. Thanks again. Like, share, and subscribe. And join us. Tell a friend. We're here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. 6 p.m. out here where I am on the left coast. Thanks, guys. It was a blast. I think we covered some good stuff today. And we'll, I'm sure, have another great show next week, because it seems like every day there's some more crazy that happens and we got to cover it. But we're always going to have a little good news in there as well, right? Red beans and rice, Mr. Hamilton, Sanders, let's see, who else am I? John Lewis, Barbara Jean, all of you. Thank you. Those are some of the regulars that we have. God bless, be safe, and if you're brave, take the shot. Take one for the team.
SNN Street News Now.